So basically, if we say Nmap work in 5 steps. If we talk about the working of your Nmap work in 5 steps. First step is it will check whether your target is live or not. So here, the first step, that is of your scanning. Same thing your Nmap will do. It will check whether your target is live or not. Then it will do a DNS lookup. Third, reverse DNS lookup. So either we will do option number 2 or we will do option number 3 depending on the input we are giving, whether we are giving a domain or we are giving a IP. Then fourth is it will check for open ports. That will be your fourth step. And fifth step will be NSC, Nmap script engine. Okay, these are the 5 stages in which your Nmap works. By default, Nmap will run all the first 4 steps. So for step number 5, NSC, you have to use some arguments. You have to tell Nmap that you want to run your script engine. So if I simply give a Nmap command, it will run the first 4 steps. But to run a Nmap script engine, I have to tell the Nmap by giving some argument in the input. Now, same thing, if I want to check in my network, okay, what all IPs are live, just like your ARP scan yesterday, which we did. ARP, we know it is for your internal network. So same thing, we can use your Nmap also, and we can see that what all IPs are live. Now, since I told you guys that by default, Nmap will run the first 4 steps. Okay. So if I want to run only step number 1 as of now, because we have not moved to step number 2 to look for open ports. So as of now, if I only want to check that what all IPs are live, I don't want to do DNS lookup or reverse DNS lookup. I don't want to check for open ports. I simply want to check that what all IPs are live around my network. So we will be using a parameter. Okay. Or you can say we will be using a argument in the input that we will be giving. So at the left side, I will show you the ARP input that we got yesterday. We are getting 4 IPs because Metasploitable is also live. So from this, I can say Metasploitable IP is 135. Similarly, what I can do, I can give same scan for your Nmap. Okay, instead of ARP-scan, I will use your Nmap. Nmap 192.168.170/24. Here you can see Nmap has started. The version that my Linux have is 7.94. And here you can see. What all IPs we are getting? Let's see in the Nmap. Right now you can see I have not used any argument in my input. Simply Nmap, then your complete subnet. So here we have dot one, dot one present over here also. Okay. So this is your network. Then we have dot two present over here also, your gateway. Then we have 135 present over here also. That is of your Metasploitable. Okay. Now I told you first four steps of Nmap. Target live or not, DNS lookup, or reverse DNS lookup. And fourth one, your open ports. So in our case, which one will take place? Reverse DNS lookup or DNS lookup? This is the input that I have given. So what input I will get? Okay. DNS lookup means when you are looking for a IP from a domain. Reverse DNS lookup means when you are looking for a domain through a IP. So since I have given a IP, so it will do your reverse DNS lookup. And since these are my local IPs, no domain name is present. Okay, so that is why I'm not getting any results. So here you can see we have checked that the host is up. So step number one completed. Since no domain is associated to the IP, I'm not getting any result for reverse DNS lookup. And then I told you it will check for open ports. So here you can see not shown 977 closed TCP ports. Okay, so by default, Nmap will check 1000 well-known TCP ports. Okay, by default, Nmap already have a configuration set for 1000 well-known ports. So out of these ports, 977 are closed. It means 23 ports are open. It means 23 ports are open. So here you can see I'm getting a list of the open ports. You can see state open. These are the service associated to that port. And one more IP we are getting over here. That is your 254. 254 is your broadcast, which we are getting over here also. So broadcast here also. And one more IP I'm getting 130, which is not present because 130 is Linux IP. 130 is Linux IP. So in ARP scan, from the machine you are doing your ARP, you will not get the IP of that machine. But Nmap will give you the IP of that machine also. So here you can see I'm getting 130 as my Linux IP, which is up. Okay, so by default, the working that I stated over here, target is live or not, DNS lookup or reverse DNS lookup, check for open ports. These four are working when I'm simply using my nmap command. And as I told you, to run your script engine, you have to give some arguments. So here we can write the command that we executed for your nmap. Nmap x dot y dot z dot 0/24. This is what we give. How many total ports are there in a machine? 65,525. And what are your port categories? See, there are three categories. One is your well-known ports. One is your registered ports. And one is your dynamic ports. What is the range of well-known ports? 021023. Range of registered ports?
102.49. That is 49.
151. Okay. And 49152 to 65534. That is your dynamic ports. You should also have a basic idea related to the well-known ports and the services running on those ports. That is also important. Now here you can see when I executed your Nmap, then your complete network, it was giving me 4 to 5 IPs, and it was also checking for your open ports, DNS lookup, reverse DNS lookup, and posters live or not. Now, what if I only want to do step number one? What if I only want to do step number one? It means only to check whether the target is live or not. I don't want to do DNS lookup or reverse DNS lookup. I don't want to check for open ports. And for NSC, I have to give some arguments. Okay, I only want to work on stage number one. Okay, so for that, argument is -sn. And map -sn, then your complete network. Now here you can see when I executed -sn, it is only doing your step number one. It is only looking for live IP. Other than that, it is not doing other stages or other steps of your Nmap. Okay, so we can write it over here. Nmap -sn. What it will do? Only check for live IP. What is a three-way handshake? To establish a genuine TCP connection. Okay, so let's say I have two machines. Machine A and machine B. Now if machine A wants to connect to machine B over a TCP, so A will send a SYN flag. Okay, as soon as SYN flag received by your B, B will reply with SYNAC. Once SYNAC is received by A will reply with acknowledge. And with this, your TCP connection will be established between your A and B. Similarly, we have a four-way handshake. Four-way handshake to terminate a TCP connection. To terminate your TCP connection. So let's say A wants to terminate connection with B. So A will send a pen flag. B will reply with acknowledge, and then B will reply with finish flag, and A will reply with acknowledge. This is your four-way handshake to terminate a TCP connection. Now, most of the times, whenever we are connecting to a machine over a TCP, you will see Cincinnati and ACK. And here also, when we were getting the open ports result, it was for TCP ports only. Okay, it was for TCP ports only. So now we have to check whether Nmap is doing a three-way handshake or not. How Nmap is able to tell whether port 21 is open or not. This thing I need to find. So first, let's look at all the ports option. By default, we know by default Nmap scans 1000 well-known ports. Now, what if I want to scan all the ports? 65535. Okay, if I want to scan all the ports. So for that, the argument is hyphen p hyphen. Okay, so how I will write the command? Nmap hyphen p hyphen. Then the IP of your target. So my target IP was 135.192.168.17.135. Okay, so what hyphen p hyphen will do? Scan all ports. Now, what if you want to scan a particular port? Okay, let's say I only want to check whether port 40 is open or not, or port 22 is open or not. So for that, argument is hyphen p, then your port number. So nmap hyphen p. Let's say I want to check 40. Okay, port number 40. So 40, then your IP, your target IP. So -P, then your port number. This is for a particular port. Okay, so let's try this thing. I will try -P hyphen, then you guys try -P. So my target is 135. So I will write Nmap -P hyphen, then my target. Now here you can see it took around 11 seconds to get the output. Not shown 65505. Previously it was 977. But as soon as I used -P hyphen, it is not showing me 65505 closed TCP ports. It means around 30 ports are open. Previously only 23 ports were open. But now when I scan for all the ports using this argument, I'm getting results for all the ports. Okay, so similarly, if I try for let's say port 40, map -P space your port number, let's say 40, then your IP. You can see port 40 is closed. If I try for 21, 21 is open over here. And map -P your 21, then your IP. And here you can see 21 open. Okay, so these are your port arguments. By default, -P hyphen for all, -P for a particular port. Okay, let's see. Now our goal was to check how Nmap was getting these ports. Okay, which type of connection Nmap is doing. So it's not showing. So let's check first. Let's see how many connection options are there. Okay, what are the different connections through which your Nmap can identify whether a port is open or not. So one, we all know that we have a three-way handshake. Okay, we have a three-way handshake. This thing is called as full TCP connect. Okay, this thing is called as full TCP connect scan. Okay, and the parameter is hyphen ST. This is the parameter, or you can say the argument associated to this particular scan. Now there are few more other scans also, because sometimes there might be any kind of inline defense which might not allow you to do a three-way handshake on a particular port. So for that, we have some other options also through which we can identify. So let's see what all options are there. 1, 2, 3, and five. One is your TCP full connect scan. Other is TCP half connect. We have TCP half connect, and it is also known as let scan. So here what will happen? A will send a SYN flag, B will reply with SYNAC. Once I am getting some reply from B, I will close the connection. I will close the connection. For example, there are two ways to check whether you are answering your phone or not. Okay, one thing is I call you, you pick up the call, and then we have a conversation. Second thing is I call you, you pick up the call, and I simply cut that call. Because if you are picking the call, it means you are near your phone. You are replying to your calls. So in TCP half connect, what we do, if the target is replying on my send request, we will get to know that target is available and we will simply close the connection. We will reset the connection. So this is a TCP half connect scan or your slit scan. Then one more scan we have fin scan. Okay, in fin scan what we do, the parameter for your half connect is hyphen SS. Okay, for fin scan parameter is hyphen SF, S small. So here what will happen? A and B. If A is replying with fin and B is not replying to you. Okay, I'm not getting any reply from B. It means port is open. Then we have Xmas scan. Here the parameter is hyphen SX, H small capital X. And one more scan we have, that is your null scan. Here the parameter is hyphen S capital and capital. So in Xmas what will happen? A will reply with three flags: push, finish, urgent. If B is not applying, port is open. In null scan, as the name suggests, we will not send any flag. Okay, we will simply send some data. We will not send any flags in that data. And if I'm not getting any reply from that, it means port is open. Now these all are for open port. Okay, all the results that I have written over here, these are for open port. What if a port is closed? Okay, what if a port is closed? Then what type of option should I get? So here, if I use any method, if I use any method, be it TCP half connect, fin scan, Xmas scan, or your null scan, if in the reply I'm getting reset acknowledge, okay, in the reply, if I'm getting reset acknowledge, it means port is closed. And we will verify these things also through your Wireshark. But first, we have to check by default which of the connection method Nmap is using. So let's try this thing. Okay, here what I will do, I will start your Wireshark, because with the help of Wireshark only, I will capture the packets. I'm connected to ETH0. Okay. Now I want to capture the packets for my target Metasploit table. So target IP is 135. So I will apply a filter. IP dot ADDR IP address is equal to 192.168.17.135. It means I want to capture the traffic of this particular IP. Okay. So now let's use the other terminal. Okay. Now if I try to look for port 21 and see what type of outputs we are getting. So Nmap -P21 135. I know port 21 is open. Okay. So it will give me the results for open ports. Now here you can see it has been captured. So we have one source which is 130.130. We have one destination that is 135. Source port is 53073. Destination port is 21, your FTP, which we used in your Nmap. So from 30 to 35, we are sending a send request. From 35 to 30, 35 to 30, we are getting a send acknowledge. And from 30 to 35, reset. Now, if I try to find this particular thing in the notes where we have written, now here you can see Synac reset, this one, Synac reset. It means by default Nmap is using sled scan. By default Nmap is using your sled scan. Okay, so I don't have to use -ss. By default Nmap is using this particular connection only to check for open ports. Just to verify if I look for a close port, whether I will get a reset acknowledge in the reply or not. So let's see this thing also. So I will go with by default only. So let's reset this. Okay. And let's apply a Nmap -p for port 40 because I know it is closed. From 30 to 35. 30 to 35. We are sending a send. And in the reply from 35 to 30, we are getting reset acknowledge. So as I told you, you can use any method, but in the reply, if you are getting reset acknowledge by your target, it means that particular port is closed. And here also you can see same thing. Port is closed. Okay. Now, if I try to use your -s T option, if I try to do a complete three-way handshake, okay, let's see whether I'm getting Cincinnati CAC in the Wireshark or not. So let's recapture it. Nmap -P for 21 open port -ST full TCP scan and then your IP. Port is open in the Wireshark. If we see this thing from 30 to 35, we send a SYN. Then from 35 to 30, SYNAC. From 30 to 35, 30 to 35, ACK. Full TCP connection. And after that, your 30, your Linux machine is closing the connection. So to close the connection, reset acknowledge. So 30 is applying with reset acknowledge. Okay, so -S T option, full TCP scan. Okay, so what you guys have to do, you guys have to verify yourself the results which are present in your notes. So I will write the commands over here, the commands which I used. To start the Wireshark space your end sign, it will start on a particular port. Then filter for Wireshark IP.ADDR double equal to then your meta IP, metasploitable IP. This is your filter for Wireshark. And here in the Nmap you can write -P. I have already written for 40 Nmap -P for 21. Let's use -ST and your meta IP. Okay, -ST full TCP scan. So one more thing we can write over here. By default, Nmap uses half TCP connect scan. Okay. So I'm minimizing this screen so you can see all the options available over here. Let's go to 50. Okay, I think everything is visible.